It's not easy. Some celebrities, they get caught up in the lights and the cameras and they start believing the images of themselves on the television. I never believed that because
They once had everything: money, fame, power, and a deadly belief that all of it would last forever. When you make millions off a single hit or one tour, you stop seeing money as finite. You see it as something that will always come back. So they spend. Not because they are stupid, but because they believe too much. They believe in the peak. They believe in themselves. They believe that even if they burn it all today tomorrow, they will earn it back just the same. Then it takes just one small decision. One car, one house, one lifestyle pushed too far. One moment of, if I like it, I buy it. All of it adds up into a bill no one is mentally prepared to pay. How did rappers once called the future of hip-hop lifestyle kings or symbols of wealth burn through millions of dollars with their own hands? And when the money runs out, what is left? This is not a story about idiots. This is a story about millions of dollars going up in flames in the blink of an eye. MC Hammer, feeding an entourage and a luxury mansion. In the early 90s, MC Hammer was on a level very few rappers have ever reached. His music was everywhere. Turn on the TV, he was there. Turn on the radio, you heard him. Every stage was packed. Money was flowing in so fast, it felt like it would never stop. And that feeling was the most dangerous thing of all. Hammer's mistake did not start with supercars or gold chains. It started with a very simple, very human thought. A few thousand more each month, what's the harm? A few tens of thousands more, still fine. The money is coming in anyway. Hammer believed his cash flow was like a massive river, always flowing, impossible to dry up. Every month he supported an entourage of nearly 200 people, whose main job was essentially doing nothing. Sounds crazy, right? But to him, that was the price they deserved for sticking with him and riding alongside him from zero to the top. Each person got their cut. On its own, it did not look like much. But multiply that number by 200, pay it every single month, and it turns into a bottomless pit. This is the fatal point. An expensive car can be sold. Jewelry can be locked away. But once you get used to paying people, you cannot simply say, stop. Hammer turned himself from an artist into a payroll machine. And that machine had no off switch. According to Hammer's own later reflections in interviews and multiple US media reports, the warnings actually came very early. Financial advisors said plainly that maintaining an entourage of 150 to 200 people was unsustainable. A pop rap artist's income has a very short life cycle. The record label even applied pressure, demanding that Hammer cut staff and reduce his fixed monthly expenses. But Hammer saw those as words from outsiders, information to hear nothing more. Did his family ever try to stop him? Yes. But they were also living off that same stream of money. Advising him to cut back meant advising themselves to lose their own income. In a room full of people benefiting from that generosity, no one was brave enough to say the uncomfortable truth. Even close relatives only saw the immediate gain, not the downward curve racing toward them. Then the inevitable happened. Tastes shifted, shows became fewer, revenue stalled, but the obligations stayed exactly the same. Every month became another round of pressure. At the same time, Hammer was living in a massive mansion in Fremont, California, a place once branded as a palace of his peak era. But that house, like his entourage, was not just a symbol. It was a cost, operations, maintenance, money that had to be paid even when you were no longer on top. In April 1996, reality could no longer be avoided. MC Hammer filed for bankruptcy with more than $13 million in debt. What followed was a period of cuts, liquidation, a shrinking lifestyle. Things that once felt normal now became crushing burdens. In 1997, the Fremont mansion was sold for around $5.3 million, far below the lavish image once attached to it. No palace, no entourage. Just a financial equation Hammer was forced to confront. Hammer's story does not hurt because he was stupid. It hurts because he believed the money would always be there. He believed that adding just a little more each month did not matter, until that little multiplied by 200 and stretched across years. Hammer did not go broke buying expensive things. He went broke buying responsibilities with no expiration date. But that was only money. In the next story, someone burned millions purely for pleasure. Scott Storch, Jets parties, and cocaine. About $30 million. That is how much Scott Storch lost in less than a single year during the steepest free fall of his life. And to be fair, that number still does not fully capture it. Not every reckless swipe, every late-night flight, or every buy it, if I feel like it leaves behind a receipt. Some things disappear along with memories and the high. Before $30 million became a disaster, Scott Storch lived in a reality where almost no one believed he could fall. In 2006, at age 33, Storch was earning 6 figures per song. What made it truly dangerous was this: he could create a hit like that in just 15 minutes. When money arrives faster than it takes to brew a cup of coffee, the human brain struggles to stay rational. That money turned a kid from Sunrise into a notorious player on Palm Island, a massive mansion in Miami Beach, more than a dozen luxury cars in the garage, including a sports car worth $1.7 million. Out by the dock sat a $20 million yacht, always ready as if he could leave at a moment's whim. For Storch back then, this was not showing off. This was his environment. Storch did not only burn money on himself, he gave millions in diamonds and cars to girlfriends. Paris Hilton, Lindsay Lohan, Kim Kardashian. Names that simply by appearing next to you made all of Hollywood turn its head. Meanwhile, where was Scott Storch's mother? She spent all her time caring for a partially blind husband. She waited in a house worth around $81,000, holding on to a simple belief that her son would remember his family. Scott kept telling his mother he had a plan. Everything was fine, don't worry. But then I guess things got bad before he ever had the chance to act, as he fell into heavy cocaine addiction. While Scott burned money on a luxury lifestyle flying private jets, just to grab lunch, showering girlfriends with piles of cash, his mother was being sued over $5,700 in credit card debt she used to pay for groceries and medicine. And he thought nothing of dropping $2 million on a necklace without blinking. The signs were there early on. Even though he became a millionaire, at 26, Storch showed something deeply troubling: a strong aversion to paying bills. In 2001, a luxury hotel in West Hollywood sued him over an unpaid room bill of under $3,000. A small amount, but a massive signal. Not because he lacked money, but because in his mind, paying was never a priority. Then everything escalated fast. And sometimes, you do not even need addiction to fall into the trap. You just need to not understand what you are actually buying. Tyga, the flashy icon and the financial trap. When you talk about Tyga, one thing has to be said. Plainly, his name was once tied to some of the wildest cars in rap. Ferrari, Rolls-Royce, a tiger-striped Lamborghini, Bugatti. At one point, people even saw him next to cars plated entirely in gold. Looking at that lineup, everyone has the same first reaction. He must be insanely rich. You could not live like that otherwise. The problem is, being able to play does not mean being able to pay. Tyga never lacked cars. He lacked financial discipline. One of the clearest examples was a rose gold-plated Lamborghini Aventador with glossy black rims so loud it could not be mistaken for anyone else's. That car was not just for driving. It appeared in music videos, on social media, on the street. Next to it was a jet black Bentley, also used as part of the image. But there was one tiny detail the audience never saw. Tyga was not making his payments on either car. It started with late payments, then skipped ones. Then the debt began to swell. Interest on top of interest. Penalties piling up. Tyga was not just reminded, he was taken to court. The result was a number that had nothing to do with image anymore. $1.3 million, the amount the court ordered him to pay over cars he once used to flex. But the story did not stop there. Instead of stopping and scaling back, Tyga upgraded. He moved into an even more expensive Maybach, the textbook successful man's car. And the same script played out. The car ran into trouble. Payments were ignored. This time there was no long lawsuit. The car was repossessed, clean, cold. An asset worth around $2 million vanished in minutes. Add it all up, and Tyga lost more than $3 million just on cars. The cars were towed away. The money never came back. And the lesson arrived far too late. Tyga was the symbol of a flashy era. But that very flash became the trap that made money disappear faster than any crash ever could. T-Pain. Bugatti, a radiator, and an expensive wake-up call. T-Pain explained very clearly in an interview that while he was testing his Bugatti, one of the radiator components failed. No accident, no collision, just normal operation by Bugatti standards. When he heard the repair quote, the number came in at around $90,000. Not to replace the engine, not for a full overhaul, just to fix one radiator component. T-Pain's reaction was not panic. It was not regret either. He chose the simplest option: sell the car. According to a Vlad TV summary, T-Pain sold the Bugatti for about $1 million, then used that money to buy several other cars. On the surface, it sounds perfectly reasonable. One car that is hard to maintain, sell it. Swap it for a few cars that are easier to live with. A quick, clean decision. No drama. But the real cost was not the $90,000 for repairs. It was somewhere else. A Bugatti is not a car in the normal sense. It is not just an object you buy and then use. It is an entire ecosystem of costs. Every time it moves, it costs money. Every service visit costs money. Every part comes with a number that makes you stop and take a deep breath. And if you step into that world with the mindset of once I buy it, I'm done, you wake up very fast. T-Pain did not lose money because the Bugatti broke. He lost money because he realized too late that he had bought something whose upkeep was more frightening than its purchase price. The car had not been in his hands long before it lost value, not because of the market, but because he no longer wanted to carry it. That is a classic luxury asset slide. You do not sell to lock in profit. You sell to escape. What matters is that T-Pain is not the type who spends blindly. He did not buy the Bugatti to show off. He bought it because he thought he understood it. And that feeling of I know what I'm doing is the real trap. With luxury goods, especially supercars, what kills cash flow is not the sticker price. It is the long, silent operating costs that give you no room to negotiate. Looking back, T-Pain's Bugatti story feels like a slap that wakes you up. Not painful because of the money lost. Painful because of the realization that some things are not meant to be tried out. Not meant for buy, now figure it out later. And definitely not meant for the mindset of someone used to living in a world where everything can be flipped quickly. At least T-Pain did one thing right. He sold the car, he cut the loss, he accepted depreciation to stop the bleeding. Not everyone is clear-headed enough to do that. Many people try to hold on strain through it, prove that they can handle it. And that is where money really dies. Buying a Bugatti is not the mistake. The mistake is buying it like you are buying a Toyota. And at least T-Pain managed to sell the car. Some people do not even make the payment in time. Lil Kim cosmetic surgery designer labels and tax debt. With Lil Kim, the story does not begin with a loud collapse. There is no shocking bankruptcy moment, no repo man dragging cars away, no court knocking overnight. Her story starts slower, quieter, and more painful. It starts with a look, the public's gaze, the media's gaze. A look always carrying an unspoken question: is she still the Lil Kim from before? In entertainment, some people are remembered for music, some are remembered for their life stories, and some, like Lil Kim, are remembered for image, bold, sexy, unlike anyone else. That is what made her an icon, but it is also what turned her into her own hostage. When you build a career on appearance and attitude, you are not allowed to age normally. Time stops being natural. It becomes the enemy. The public talks, the press scrutinizes. Every appearance by Lil Kim invites comparison. Compared to old images, compared to collective memory, compared to a version even she can no longer return to. In that context, spending money on image stops being a personal choice. It becomes a professional obligation. Lose the image, you disappear. Keep the image, you pay the price. American media debated Lil Kim's appearance changes for years. Some called it excessive cosmetic surgery. Others called it the tragedy of fame pressure. She herself has not always confirmed the details of every procedure, and no one truly has the right to decide where enough ends. But one thing is undeniable. Every change, big or small, comes with a cost. And not just surgical fees. There is the cost of maintaining the image. Wardrobe has to stay on point. Stylists stay close. Travel schedules, public appearances. Everything must align with the Queen Bee brand the audience expects. At this stage, image is no longer something to enjoy. It is a mandatory investment, and that investment never ends. The problem is that while the spotlight stays on another front quietly tightens. Taxes. Forbes clearly reported that Lil' Kim dealt with tax issues for many years. Not a single late payment, not a small amount, but year-by-year tax debt accumulating over time with IRS liens attached. Those numbers never show up on the red carpet. They do not appear in fashion interviews, but they are very real, very specific, and they do not disappear just because fame remains. This is where an uncomfortable paradox appears. On one side is a luxury image, designer labels, appearances that meet audience expectations. On the other side is unresolved financial obligation to the government. What is wealth worth if you still owe taxes? But for Lil' Kim, that question is far more complex than it looks from the outside. If she cuts back on image, she weakens the brand. And in show business, losing the brand means losing opportunities, losing deals, losing position. But if she keeps the image cash flow, keeps draining into the very costs required to maintain it. This is not a choice between right and wrong. It is a choice between two painful paths. Eventually, reality forced Lil' Kim to confront it. There was a period when she filed for Chapter 13 bankruptcy, a form of debt restructuring designed to address financial obligations, including taxes. This was not bankruptcy in the sense of being completely broke. It did not mean she had no money. It meant the old spending model no longer worked. That living on image while pushing financial obligations into the background eventually breaks. In recent years, reports suggest Lil' Kim has settled or paid portions of New Orleans. Quietly, without show. Simply an effort to close that long tense chapter. But what happened does not disappear. It leaves marks, in financial records, and in how the public sees her. The price Lil' Kim paid is not just financial. It is the erosion of image through headlines, comments, and memes spreading online. Every time people talk about her appearance, few mention the pressure, the context, or the system that created the demand. They only see the end result. And when that result is placed next to tax debt, it quickly turns into an easy moral paradox to judge. But look deeper, and Lil' Kim is not alone in this trap. She is simply one of the clearest examples. When image is your biggest asset, you will pay to protect it. The problem is that the bill for image arrives immediately. The tax bill waits. It accumulates. It is patient. And it hits when you are weakest. Lil' Kim did not lose money because of one stupid decision. She lost money because she lived in an unstable balance between maintaining image to survive in the industry and unavoidable financial obligations. One side is stage lights. The other is legal paperwork. And neither allows you to turn away. Lil' Kim's story is not meant for mockery. It is a reminder that sometimes the greatest cost of fame is not what you buy. It is what you are forced to maintain whether you want to or not. But some people do not lose money because of image. They lose it because of the culture of showing off wealth. Exhibit the king living in a world of luxury. There was a time when the name exhibit was synonymous with speed and spotlights. Supercars were not for showing off, they were for showing up. Parties did not need a reason, just presence. Gatherings where everyone dressed like money had never heard of running out. That world did not need explanations. You just stepped in and understood. You were on the upper level of the game. Up there, people did not ask how much does it cost, they asked, when is it my turn? And when you live in that world long enough, it is very easy to forget one basic thing. Money in show business does not come in evenly. It is not a monthly salary. It is not a stable business. It comes in waves. It rises very high, and it can pull back very fast. Exhibit was not the type to flex money without meaning. He did not buy things just to take photos and resell them. He lived in alignment with the environment around him. In those years, rap was tied to images of power luxury and zero apologies. When you stepped out with Exhibit, you had to match the level. The car had to be aggressive enough. The party had to be big enough. Everything had to say you were still in the game. Gumball 3000 vibes, supercars lined up, party after party. That was not just entertainment. It was a living context, a space where you proved you still belonged to the industry's upper tier. And when that context becomes normal, you stop seeing it as a cost. You treat it as a condition of existence. The problem began when reality shifted. Not loudly, not with an immediate crash, just shows getting canceled, schedules thinning out, opportunities no longer coming as regularly as before. Not because Exhibit disappeared, not because he lost talent, but because the industry's cash flow is always unstable. It depends on timing, on audience taste, on market demand, and when taste changes, everything follows. This is where the danger sits. Income drops, but costs do not. The house still has to be paid. Staff still have to be supported. The lifestyle stays the same. Because scaling down is not just spending less. Scaling down means admitting you are no longer at the top. And in an image-driven industry, that admission is extremely hard. Many people choose to extend the illusion, telling themselves this is just a phase, that everything will return soon, that they just need to hold on a little longer. But bills do not run on hope. When income falls while expenses stay fixed, every passing month is another cut. At first, it does not hurt much. Just juggling, just patching things up, just temporary. But the longer it lasts, the clearer the gap between money coming in and money going out becomes. And at some point, you can no longer say just a little longer without feeling fear. Exhibit's breaking point arrived clearly. His home entered foreclosure, not because of one single bad decision, not because of one oversized splurge, but because of an entire period built on the assumption that income would always return. When the records were reviewed, the numbers were cold. Debt outweighed assets. A situation where no matter who you are, the system shows no mercy. That moment was the complete opposite of the glamorous images before it. No supercars, no parties, no spotlights, just paperwork, just numbers with no emotion. And in that moment, Exhibit was forced to face a truth many people in show business avoid. Success is uneven, but costs are brutally consistent. What matters is that Exhibit was not stupid. He was not ignorant. He was not blind. He simply lived according to the culture he was inside. A culture that celebrates appearances, speed, and flash. A culture that teaches you how to expand very fast, but never teaches you how to contract when necessary. Exhibit's story is not meant for ridicule. It is meant to confront a familiar paradox. You can make a lot of money in a short time, but if you build your life around the highest income you ever had, one bad season is enough to bring everything down. Mistakes and lessons. After all the stories we have just gone through, there is one thing that needs to be said clearly. Mistakes do not equal stupidity. If we only look at the final outcome and judge, we miss the most important part of the story. These people were not amateurs. They did not lack ability. They did not lack opportunity. And they certainly did not lack money when everything began. They all shared three very clear traits: real talent, real success, and real income. Not the kind of one lucky hit and done. Some made hit after hit. Some stood on stages in front of thousands. Some became cultural symbols for an entire generation. Cash once flowed into their lives at a speed most people never experience in a lifetime. And that is exactly why their mistakes are worth talking about. Not to laugh, but to understand how money can disappear so fast even when you once had plenty. The first common point is emotional decision-making. Rarely were the decisions that cost them money made after careful thinking. Most came from emotion, from excitement, from the moment, from ego. When you are at the top, everything around you tells you that you deserve it. You deserve that car, that house, that lifestyle. And when the whole world nods along, it is very hard to question yourself. Emotional decisions do not always look stupid. In fact, at the moment they are made, they often look perfectly reasonable. Buying another car while money is still coming in. Hiring more people when work is still plentiful. Maintaining image while the audience is still watching. Everything has a reason. The problem is that emotion only sees the present while consequences live in the future. The second common point is ignoring opportunity cost. When you choose one thing, you always give up something else. But very few people think about that when money feels abundant. Every choice has a price, not just the purchase price, but the things you can no longer do because you chose something else. Money poured into cars, houses. Image lifestyle is money, no longer available for reserves investment or simply building a safety buffer for bad times. Opportunity cost is especially dangerous for people who get rich fast, because they are used to everything being reversible. Short today, make it back tomorrow. Spend heavy this month, balance it next month. But life does not operate on that logic forever. There are moments when opportunities do not return. There are periods when income is no longer stable. And that is when past choices come asking for payment. You do not just lose money because you bought the wrong thing. You lose money because you no longer have options. You cannot cut immediately. You cannot sell immediately. You cannot stop immediately. Everything has become attached to your life, like a system. And that system no longer allows flexibility. The third common point, and the biggest trap, is believing that money can always be made again. This mindset is extremely common among early success stories. When you have made millions before, it is easy to believe you can do it again anytime. That losing a little does not matter. That this is just a temporary cycle. But reality does not work that way. Making money fast does not mean making money sustainably. And the past does not guarantee the future. That belief that money can always be made again is what makes fast rich people take bigger risks, spend harder, and stop later than others. Poor people fear losing money because they do not have much. Fast rich people fear stopping the game. And while poor people tighten up at the first bad sign, fast rich people often push a little further, hoping everything will return to normal. That is why they lose money faster. Not because they are more stupid, but because they believe more. They believe in themselves. They believe in the past. They believe in their ability to turn things around. Until the cold system of money proves a harsh truth. The market owes you nothing, and old success does not pay new bills. When you place these 3 points together, the picture becomes clear. The stories we just heard are not a series of random accidents. They are the result of the same mindset repeated in different contexts. From supporting an oversized entourage, burning money in a high, buying luxury without understanding operating costs, living off image while financial obligations quietly pile up, or maintaining a lifestyle after income has already turned. None of them started with the intention to self-destruct. They simply kept living the way they had lived while the environment around them changed. And money does not forgive slow adaptation. The most important part of this conclusion is not pointing fingers. It is asking a very direct question. If you had millions in your hands, are you sure you would not do the same? Are you sure you would always stay clear-headed when everything is going well? When everyone praises you? When money flows in? When bad choices have not yet come, asking for their price? Because many mistakes only look stupid after they happen. At the moment of decision, they often look like very human choices. Choices that placed in the right context, many of us might make as well. So instead of asking, where were they stupid? Maybe the better question is what allows smart and successful people to lose money so fast? And when you understand that you are not just looking at their stories, you are examining how you face money success and decisions when everything is at its peak. And you? Do you think these mistakes are stupid or simply the price of success? Leave a comment and let me know what you think.
Today's content may reference public figures, businesses, or social events. However, all mentions are intended for exploratory purposes only and are not meant as accusations or judgments. That's the reality of the game. Fame always comes with a price. If you vibe with the content and want the real uncut stories, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to the Black Vault.